Good morning students. I am Kuldeep Singh. Today I am going to explain class 10th the fresh topic, that is chapter 6 spectrum. Students, first of all, what do you mean by the spectrum? The spectrum is the band of color seen on the screen. You know that we have discussed in the previous chapter or previous video that when ray of light pass through a prism, when white light, this is white light, when the white light pass from the prism, it split into different parts, different colors, and this is the white sheet. These 7 colors come out of the prism and it makes a band of colors. 7 band of colors are there, and this band of colors seen on the screen is called as a spectrum. You know very well that it depends upon the angle, and this angle is called as the angle of deviation. So the total angle of deviation depends upon the 3 points. First of all, angle of incidence. This is the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence. Then second, angle of refractive index or angle of prism. This is angle of prism. And third one is angle of refraction. That is like this here over here. Now it comes out. So depend upon the deviation of the color or wavelength of the light. In the previous video we have discussed that less the wavelength, more the deviation. Less the speed, less the wavelength, less the speed, more is the deviation. Deviation means bend. The ray will bend more if its speed is less. You know that the rainbow colors, we are having a rainbow colors. So in a visible light, rainbow colors are there. So how many colors are there in a rainbow? In a 8th class we have discussed about the rainbow colors. It is depend upon the Vibgyor, and we can start from the bottom only, bottom to upward side, because the wavelength, this V stands for the violet, I stands for indigo, B stands for blue, G stands for green, yellow, orange, and lastly red. That means red is deviate very least, and which color deviate very more? The violet color. Why? In a visible light, the violet color having the wavelength, its wavelength is 4000 angstrom. This is the symbol of angstrom, and the wavelength of red color is 8000. Wavelength is 8000 angstrom. So speed of red color is more, so it bend least. So the wavelength of violet color is very less, so it deviate more as its speed is 4000. So what is the limit but in the visible light, white light? That is 4000 to 8000. Rest of these colors are in between the 4000 to 8000. So color in white light with their velocity and frequency. And student, one thing I want to clear. So the wavelength is reciprocal to the frequency. The wavelength of the red color is more, but its frequency is very less. The wavelength of violet color is less, whereas the frequency of this violet color is more. So at the table on the page number 134, it is given on your book that the wavelength, the difference between the wavelength and the frequency of the white colors. So the color in white light with their wavelength and frequency, it depends. Wavelength is the characteristics. Name the characteristics on which the scattering or spectrum depend. So the wavelength is the characteristics of the color irrespective to the origin. So the light of the same color obtained from the different sources will have the same wavelength, or color is the subjective property. In the next chapter we will discuss about the subjective and objective property. Subjective means which can we measure, which we measure the things, that is a subjective property. Objective means which we can imagine. We can imagine that the speed it's like we can say the diopter or the frequency, that is the imagine that how much it affect on the body. So that is the objective. Now it is a wavelength, the color is a subjective property, so we can measure. So in the above table the letter, this letter is called as angstrom. So denote the 1 angstrom is equal to 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. Nowadays the nanometer, in 1 nanometer is 10 raised to nano. In the 9th class I have told you that nano means 9. Nano and comes from the 9. So 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to power minus 9 meter. So or meter, or it is equal to 10 angstrom, a naught, that is naught means angstrom. So this is the symbol of the nanometer and angstrom. So dispersion and spectrums, the students made mistake in the when they are writing the definition of the dispersion and spectrum. Dispersion means scattering, splitting of white light. When white light split, this is white light, when it pass in the prism, it split into different colors. So splitting of white light by a prism into a constituent color is called as dispersion. This is the definition of the dispersion. And the spectrum means the colors which are seen on the white screen, that means the band of the colors. Spectrum is band of the colors are seen on the screen is called as spectrum. So what is the cause of the dispersion? What is the cause? What is the main reason of the dispersion? You know that different colors are having a different wavelength. All colors are having a different wavelength. So change in speed of light with the wavelength. When the white light enter into the force surface, the light different colors with the different speed. So different color with the different speed, it makes a different angle. So this is the main cause of the dispersion. So only refraction take place. Only refraction, no any reflection will take place. So dispersion of white light occur only at the first surface. Splitting is done only at the first surface. This is the first surface. The deviation of light rays occur at both the surface. First deviate at here, second deviation at this point. Then the prism does not produce color. Does the prism has its own color? In the 9th class we have discussed, no, that prism doesn't have its own color. How can we prove that the prism has its own color? Students, take two prisms. One is on the base downward, second one is on the base upward, and make a white sheet in between. Pass a white light into it. It split into the 7 colors and it is on this screen. So suppose with give. Now make a hole from the green or violet, any color. Make a hole from here. Now if you are making a hole from the yellow color, now yellow color will pass on to the other screen on this prism. Now this yellow color will pass into in this prism, second prism, and if you are having another white screen, what you will find out, here comes only a yellow color only, or white light only we can say. So that means that the prism does not have its own color. So it is the combination of the white light color only. So students, this is very small topic. So we have discussed this topic. So try to read this topic, and if you have a doubt, then you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you.